As the sun disappeared into the distance, a tear rolled down my cheek. I smiled, thinking about how cool it was to watch the sunset from this vantage point for the first time. No matter how many times you've seen it, there's something special about watching the sunset from the back deck of a cruise ship. Catherine liked it. I think it was only fitting that this would be one of those places where she would want a part of herself to remain forever. Catherine was the love of my life, and I seriously doubted that I would ever find her like that again, although I supposedly had many years to try. She left a hole in my heart of a certain size and shape that would be difficult, if not impossible, to fill. As I contemplated the task before me, the hum of the ship's powerful engines, as we moved inexorably towards the next port, was almost musical. This would be difficult for a man of any age, but at 31 it was even more difficult. Moreover, she was the very first and only significant love in my life. I thought about her, and it immediately brought a smile to my face. For some reason, I could never feel sad when I thought about Kat. This gave me the courage to reach into my jacket and pull out the small anodized aluminum container that this trip was all about. "I love you, Kat," I said. Then a light breeze blew, blowing salt spray over me. I unscrewed the top and couldn't go any further. There was a giant lump in my throat. Suddenly, my legs could barely support me. For a second, I almost put the lid back on the container, but two hands grabbed the container and my hands gave it extra support. "You can do it, Dad," he said. This is what she wanted. "I know," I told him, "but it feels like I'm pouring it out. Or I throw it away. This is simply wrong. I feel like I should keep it to myself." I cried like a child. Tears flowed freely from my eyes down my cheeks and left small marks on my shirt. "What would you do instead, Dad?" asked my 50-year-old son. "Keep it in an urn on your robe." He looked at me with sympathy in his eyes. "We both know this is not what my mother wanted. I understand perfectly how you feel. You need some physical part of her that you can touch or see in order to hold on to her. I knew you would do it, Dad, so I only cheated a little." He handed me a gold chain with a glass pendant. "There is a tiny piece of her here that you can keep forever," he smiled. "My name is Raymond Jordan. When this all started, I was 20 years old and in my third year of a 4-year architecture program. I sat back in the big comfy chair in my dorm room while my girlfriend and the love of my life at the time pleasured me. "Ray," she said, smiling at me, "I need a favor." Why the hell did she do this to me if it wasn't just cruelty? She already knew that I would probably do whatever she asked. Catherine, like me, was 20 years old. When I was an ordinary 20-year-old guy, she was a dream come true. She had long blonde hair that reached the middle of her back, the clearest blue eyes you've ever seen, and lips just made for sin. She was 5 feet 8 inches tall and had the right body. She was slim, but everything about her was perfect for her size. Neither I nor any breathing man could refuse her anything. "Ray, I know this is our 6-month anniversary, and it's a really big day for us in the short term. But in the long run, it's not that important. When we are married and have children, we won't even remember today. Anyway, I know you wanted to celebrate a little and go out. But baby, if I don't meet with my study group tonight, I won't pass my final exam in economics," she said. I knew she was having trouble with this class and was just hoping for a C. "So, honey," I said, "go to your study group. We'll celebrate another evening." Where were we? "Ray, it's not a favor," she said. "Remember I told you about my grandmother?" she asked. My spidey senses were off the charts. "Well, she came to town today," she cooed, "and I told her that you and I would go with her to what she was doing. But since I really need to study, I was hoping that you could take it for me." She looked at me with puppy dog eyes and pouted. I still can't believe I was stupid enough to agree to this. One way or another, 2 hours later, I found myself on the porch of her parents' house. I was very angry, but I tried to hide it. I knocked on the door, wearing the only suit I owned. In my heart of hearts, I hoped that Grandma would take one look at me, know that Catherine wasn't coming, and cancel the appointment. I decided there were only a few things I wouldn't accept. Number 1, Under no circumstances would I accept an old bag drooling all over me. Number 2, petting is not allowed. I heard that many of these old women take liberties with young guys. Number 3, there would be no need to hold my hand and pretend like we were an object. The old ladies used to do this to make all the other old ladies think that something was going on with them. Lastly, this is a one-time thing done just to help Catherine. These are my rules, and I stick to them. I just hope the old lady wouldn't talk too much and look like a clown with too much makeup. God, I hoped I wouldn't have to help her walk, or worse, help with her walker or wheelchair. Mona, Catherine's mother, whom I had met many times, opened the door and invited me inside. "Thanks so much for agreeing, Ray," she grinned. I always thought Mona didn't like me. She always talked to me as if she knew something I didn't, as if I was part of a big joke. But she spoke to her husband in the same tone, so I accepted it as her manner of communication. It didn't bother me anymore because I thought she was funny too. Have you ever met a parent who hates you? The person who, no matter how much you suck up to him, still feels like you're not good enough for his child. Mona's manner no longer annoyed me because I had the perfect answer for her in my head. Every time she looked at me or talked down to me, I just thought, "Mona, it doesn't matter what you think because I sleep with your daughter a lot." She looked at me when I showed up at a party and didn't like my outfit. "She'll be down soon," Mona grinned, looking at my suit and pursing her lips. I simply smiled back at her, replaying my fantasy in my head. On the other hand, Catherine's father was a great guy. We got along really well, and I liked him. "Sorry to keep you waiting," said a very melodious voice behind me. I prepared to be polite to my grandmother and turned around with a fake smile on my face. The smile became bigger and more sincere as soon as I saw her. Standing in front of me was definitely the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. She was petite than her granddaughter, but more curvy. She was about 5'1" tall, maybe 5'2" early in the morning on a good day. She had blonde hair the same shade as her granddaughter, and although it was shorter, shoulder length, her hair seemed better. Damn, everything about her seemed better. Her hair was not straight, like her granddaughter's. They were wavy and seemed to flow freely and shimmer with every movement of the head. Her eyes weren't blue, they were green and fiery. Only small crow's feet at the corners of her eyes indicated her age. Her face radiated joy. Her body was beautifully sculpted. A thin and petite waist supported large breasts that were undoubtedly natural in the way they moved. Her ass wasn't slim and boyish like her granddaughter's. Perhaps it was due to age and gravity, but her bottom was more rounded and fuller. Her legs were perfect, even her feet were beautiful in the pointy heels. "I'm Catherine," she said, smiling. I almost swallowed my tongue trying to answer, which caused her to burst into another fit of laughter. "KK Catherine," I muttered. "Original," she grinned, looking me over. The energy just radiated off of her. I had to rethink all my rules. "Often imitated, but never copied," she laughed. "Of course, you can call me Grandma since you'll probably be marrying my namesake. Come on, we better get going. We don't want to be late." As soon as we went outside, she took my arm and pressed herself against me. I caught a light floral aroma and almost fainted with delight. "We can go in my car if you want," she said, pointing to the silver-gray Jaguar. She handed me the keys, and I forgot about my old 14-year-old Chevy's 10. Jaguar was a dream on wheels. True, it was a rented car. She told me that she always rents because it's the same model she has at home, and she feels familiar with it. We went to a concert of the local symphony orchestra. They performed several works by Mozart with guest conductors and soloists. I've never been into classical music, but I have to say I enjoyed it, as did Catherine. We talked during intermission, and I learned more about her. She introduced me to several of her friends as her date. I had no objections and hesitantly put my arm around her shoulders, to which she did not object. "I wish you had done this sooner," she said. "It's really cold in the hall." The gentleman in me took over, and I draped my jacket over her shoulders. The look she gave me was worth millions, and I was embarrassed. My granddaughter's taste in men has improved. she whispered to me during the second half of the concert. She constantly whispered to me then and earned me several angry looks, which she simply reflected with a smile. "We should go get some ice cream when this is all over," she said, and I nodded. The truth is, I didn't want it to end. During the last piece of the evening, her favorite, she grabbed my hand and held it. I'll never be able to hear a little night music again without the memory of that night. Then we went to her favorite ice cream shop. I thought it would be some kind of small store. We headed to the waterfront and stopped at Coldstone Creamery. We sat on the grass and ate ice cream, watching the big ships slowly sail past us under the stars. "Ray," she told me, "I had a great time tonight, and to think I was about to get rid of you." She started laughing again after these words. "Don't look at me like that," she said. "You just don't understand the situation. My family is weird as hell. First of all, I have 3 sons. They're all married. They're all worried about poor old grandma. They don't want me to get hurt or in trouble, so who I have to look after me. My sons all love me, especially Thomas, your future father-in-law, but they all have their own lives and worries, so sometimes they pass me on to someone else." "I imagine," I interrupted. "I think she's jealous of you." "What are you talking about, Ray?" she smiled. "Nothing," I said shyly. "This woman made me feel as modest as a virgin. One way or another, often I end up with Catherine or one of her cousins. This time, when I found out that even my granddaughter was passing me on, I was a little upset. But from my point of view, everything turned out very well. I don't remember the last time I had such a good time," she said. "Thank you." "Is it really all already?" I asked. "What did you mean?" she asked, smiling slyly. I didn't say what was really on my mind. "Do you want to go dancing?" I suggested. "Ooh," she exclaimed. "I didn't dance in," she smiled again, "a very long time. But these shoes are not suitable for this. I will end up falling on you," she said. "I wouldn't mind that," I said quickly. She smiled again. This woman could easily capture me with just a smile. "Wait, we're not very far from Kat's apartment. I'll just borrow her shoes," she said. She's not at home," I said. "She's cramming in her study group." "Well, you don't have a key to her apartment. She has the key to your dorm room," she smiled. "Well, I guess not," I said. "Why not?" she asked. "Well, it doesn't matter. I have. Went. In fact, we were only 8 blocks from Catherine's apartment." "Isn't it confusing that you're both named Catherine?" I asked. "No," she smiled. "In the family, I'm Cat and she's Cat. The damn Jaguars ride was so smooth, it was ruining it for me. There is something to be said about a stylish, well-made car that simply cannot be overstated." We took the elevator to Catherine's apartment. I told Kat that I couldn't help her much in finding the shoes she wanted because all I knew about women's shoes was that they were smaller than men's shoes and more expensive. We were not particularly silent when we opened the door to the apartment. But since they didn't hear us, it didn't matter much. The door to Catherine's apartment faces her bedroom. There, on the bed, my Catherine was having sex with 3 guys I had never seen before. As soon as the guy turned his head, his eyes met mine. I simply waved and closed the door. Kat looked at me and said, "I guess I'll have to dance in these shoes, huh?" I nodded slowly. "Kat," I began, "I'm not sure if I—" "No way, Raymond Jordan," she said. "You asked me to the dance, so you must keep your word. Let's go to." We returned to the car, and I, like a piece of wood, drove towards the club I was planning to go to. "Ray, sometimes life does some really shitty things to you. Stronger people learn to put all those little things in boxes and keep all the boxes separate," she said. "Yes, my idiot granddaughter is doing something terribly bad to you. You have to make a decision about what you're going to do about it. But remember that life is very short. When you're my age, you'll realize that no one ever dies thinking they had a hell of a lot of fun. They always want them to do more. Regardless of whether you break up with my granddaughter or not, it has nothing to do with us going to the dance." She held out her hand in the car, and I took it. "Let's dance with Kat," I said. The rest of the way, Kat continued to sing and chuckle a little. "You are laughing at me?" I asked. "I guess I'm some kind of sucker." "No, sweetie," she said. "You just told me she was cramming for her study group. You were almost right." Kat and I danced until they kicked us out. The music was loud, and soon, as Kat suggested, I just put all my pain and resentment over what Kat did into a box in my head and forgot about it until I needed to deal with it. Kat quickly realized that dancing today was very different from what they did years ago. You haven't learned how to dance certain dances, practice them, and finally perform them. You just got out on the floor and shook your ass to the music as you wanted. Kat had the courage to shake and received many compliments. She refused to dance with anyone but me. I don't think anyone in the dimly lit club knew how old she was. It's besides me, and I didn't care. Several of my friends came up to me and told me that they had seen me. I knew that some of them would probably report to Catherine that they had seen me here. As I drove her home, Kat hugged me as tenderly as she had ever hugged me on her son's doorstep. She laughed at my embarrassment. "I probably won't become your grandmother, will I?" she asked. "Probably not," I said. "But I really enjoyed tonight. You are a special woman." "Okay," she said. "I would still be a shitty grandmother to you. We'll talk to you soon." I was too busy with my growing unhappiness to even process what she said. I climbed into my truck and drove back to the hostel, missing the smooth ride of the Jaguar all the way. When I got to the hostel, I noticed the message light on my phone was blinking. I looked at the screen and saw that I had a couple of messages from my Catherine. I listened to the first one, hoping that she would tell me about a group of guys who drugged her with something and took advantage of her. There is no such luck. "Hi, dude. I just wanted to thank you for looking after my old grandma. I hope she wasn't in too much trouble. I love you so much, and I will do all this for you. I feel much better about myself after today's class. I'm sure that with a few more classes like today, I'll get a C. Call me." Then I remembered where I saw the guy she was pleasuring. He was a teacher in her economics class. The second message was even stupider. I thought maybe this guy told her he saw us. But then I thought about it. If I had some hot chick, would I tell her that her boyfriend was watching her? If I didn't have my turn, maybe not. I could tell from the message that she still didn't know, but I was sure that the guy was laughing at me for a little while. "Hi, honey, I'm surprised you're not home yet. The concert was supposed to end by 10. I hope she didn't force you to go eat with her or anything like that. I'm tired of all this. I am going to sleep. I'll meet you tomorrow for lunch, and we'll catch up tomorrow night." She must think I'm the dumbest bastard, I thought. Sitting there, I wondered this question. I wondered how long she's been doing this. Moreover, I was wondering why. We weren't married. Hell, we weren't even officially engaged. I didn't call her and ask her to become my wife. It's true that I spent a lot of time with her family, and she told them that I was the man she would marry. It was fucking weird. We had dinner with her mom and dad, as well as one of her uncles and his wife. She told them that she was going to marry me, and we would have a marriage like her mom and dad. Her mother had an arrogant grin on her face. Her father had a sweet smile, but her uncle's wife almost spat the food onto the table. My uncle just looked at me with a "you poor bastard" expression. I just chalked it up to the weird family. I was grateful to Kat for teaching me her philosophy. I used it many times in those early days. The day after I caught Kat, my phones, both my cell phone and the one in the dorm, were ringing non-stop. I didn't answer calls. She left numerous messages trying to figure out where I was and what was going on. I didn't think about her. It was much easier than I thought. I just put it in a box in my mind and put that box away. By lunchtime, she came to see me. I was conveniently in the library. A friend in the next room warned me. When I finished my studies, I sat in the park in front of my building and waited for her car to leave. Then I called the receptionist and asked to change the lock on my room. I tried to predict her every move and blocked everything. By the end of our first day apart, she had no idea what was happening or why. As far as she knew, everything was fine. I have to admit, I was starting to like it. I was sitting by my bed reading, and every time the phone rang, I looked at the caller ID. If it was Kat's number or her parents' house, I just smiled and let the call go to voicemail. She almost caught me once. My lock had not been changed yet, and around 7 p.m., I heard the key in the lock. I ducked into my filthy closet and buried myself under a pile of laundry. Staying there and smelling my own scent for a few minutes made me decide it was time to visit the laundromat very soon, but it prevented the need to meet her. I almost laughed when she stood just inches away from me and started talking to herself. "Where are you?" she asked. She checked her call log and saw that I hadn't received any of today's messages yet. Then she turned and left my room. Soon after, the phone rang again. It was an unfamiliar code, so I realized that this was not our area. I answered carefully. "So you're depressed and heartbroken?" asked in a very musical voice. "No," I replied. "A very wise and beautiful woman taught me how to deal with such situations. Life is too short not to have fun." "So how are you coping?" she asked. "My bitch granddaughter asked me a little earlier about last night. I didn't mention what we saw." "I just put it in a box and put the box away," I said. "I'll deal with her when the time comes." "I thought about it," she said. "Do you want me to decide this for you?" "No, I'm fine," I said. "Oh, poor thing," she sighed. "I decided I wanted to be your grandmother." "Why don't you just be my friend?" I asked. "It's agreed," she said warmly. "Meet me at Coldstone in an hour." Then she hung up. I met Kat at the same ice cream shop we went to the night before. We sat on the grass by the river again and watched the boats go by. But this time, everything was different. For starters, instead of a tight little dress, Kat was wearing jeans. I couldn't help but stare at her ass every time I got the chance. It just didn't seem possible that she was anyone's grandmother. Jeans are a test that most women should avoid. There are no secrets in jeans. If a woman has too wide hips, jeans take notice of this. If her butt is flat or uneven or shapeless, jeans will highlight it. Jeans expose all the flaws of a woman's lower body. Men can wear these jeans because the current fashion is to wear pants so loose and baggy that the contours of a man's body cannot be discerned. This doesn't work for women. Kat in jeans was a gift from heaven. She looked better in jeans, especially around her butt, than her granddaughter, and the light sweater she wore today showed how her chest was exploding from her ribs. She suddenly put down the ice cream and took off her thigh-length leather jacket. "That's better?" she asked me. "What?" I asked, confused. "I was worried about your neck," she laughed. I rubbed my neck, trying to figure out what she was talking about. "You were so busy trying to look at my ass that I thought you might break your neck, so I just took off my jacket to make it easier for you," she laughed. I started. Then I changed my mind. "Thank you," I said. "Kat and I were talking about going to Hawaii for a week or two," she said. "Wow, this should be fun for her start to summer vacation," I said. "I hope you have a good time, no matter how she does." "She'd probably have more fun if she didn't come with me," Kat said. "I'm sure she'd rather be there with you." "Oh, yes," I said, "so I can hold her stuff while she has sex with other guys." "Honey, you're lucky," she said. "You found out about her before it was too late. Not everyone has that luck." Kat was hinting at something, and I wasn't sure it was all about me and Kat. "How about you go to Hawaii?" she asked. "Well, first of all, I need to find a summer job," I said. "And secondly, I just can't go anywhere with Kat." "Oh my God," she smiled. "A man with a backbone. You're not going to forgive her." "No," I said. "Good for you." She smiled as she started eating her ice cream again. "So let's talk about Hawaii again. What summer job do you want? What would be ideal?" "What I want is any job that pays above minimum wage. What would be ideal is a job as an assistant or courier for an architecture firm." "Okay, buddy," she smiled, using the same damn smile her granddaughter used to get me to do what she wanted. I knew I was in trouble. Her words from the previous night came back to me, often imitated but never copied. If I find you that perfect job, will you come to Hawaii with me? She asked. Two things, I began. Will it always be two things for you? She asked. First of all, I said, I don't have enough money for such a trip. And secondly, I still won't go anywhere with Kat. First of all, she said, I'm very rich. I'll pay. And secondly, I want you to come with me, not with Kat, but instead of her. But, I said, all my relatives put up with me because I'm only 57 years old, so I'm too young to go to a nursing home, and secondly, because they're all afraid that if they make me angry, I won't leave them any money when I die. If Kat or one of her cousins had gone to the concert with me last night, I would have had a terrible time and would have been home by 9:45. You probably didn't want to be with me at first. You did this for Kat. What did she promise you? After a while, I realized that you were there and we were having a good time because you wanted to be with me. And you didn't even know that I had money. You were testing me tonight, weren't you? Don't lie, I already caught you. But you didn't check my bank balance or my investments. You checked my ass and my breasts. I looked down, embarrassed that I had been arrested so easily. Don't be embarrassed, Ray, it's a good thing. Women love to be appreciated. So let's just go to Hawaii and have fun. This will help you forget my stinking granddaughter, and I can have some fun with a man who really wants to be with me for my sake. Not because he thinks I'll die and leave him some money. Okay, I smiled. Kat leaned down next to me and I hugged her. Sucker, she said. The next day brought more calls from Kat and even more Mrs. Kat called me at lunchtime. Hi, friend, she said. Two things, then she started laughing. Is this the first time you ever heard of Nathan Johnson and his associates? She asked. This is one of the largest design firms in the state, I said. You'll start there as soon as we get back from Hawaii. Is $15 an hour normal? She asked. I don't think it's that much money, but they said you'll be happy with it. I'm so happy, I said. Thank you so much. What's in second place? I need to borrow your dorm room for about an hour tonight, she said. I gave her my address and just sailed for the rest of the day. I even got a call from NGA confirming that I would be one of their summer interns. Kat couldn't do anything wrong in my book. I filled out applications for summer internships at every firm in the state for all 3 years I was in school. I've never received one. There were so many applicants and so few openings that even some guys who already had advanced degrees couldn't get in. I couldn't believe she found me one with just a phone call or two. I was so happy that I forgot to remind my Ra to change the lock. At 7 p.m., Kat showed up with a big smile and a lot of bags. I hugged her so tightly that she almost fell. She just dropped the bags and hugged me back. Kat, do you need me to do something? I asked. Yes, she grinned. You will be my audience. Where is your bathroom? She asked. You probably don't want to go in there, I frowned shyly. Looking into the puppy dog's eyes again, I pointed to the door. She grabbed a chair and placed it about 4 feet from the bathroom door. Sit down, she commanded, pointing to a chair. Then, with her bags in her hands, she went into the bathroom and closed the door behind her. Oh my God, she exclaimed. I knew it was going to be bad, but God. Have you ever cleaned this room? I heard the sound of shoes and zippers falling. I don't know if they were opening or closing, but I was nervous. Okay, friend, she called. Tell me what you think, she said as she left the bathroom. Catherine was wearing a tight red one-piece swimsuit made of a shiny material that seemed to shimmer. Between the material and her bends, she achieved ignition. Despite its modesty by today's standards, the suit looked incredible on Catherine. It had little spaghetti straps that held up the top. I didn't understand how she was going to swim in it. As soon as the material gets wet and becomes heavier, her breasts will instantly tear the straps. I need to learn kung fu, I told her. Why? She asked. I see myself trying to fight off a crowd of men who are determined to attack you on the beach. Does that mean you like it or don't like it? She grinned. She went from looking at my face to looking at my pants. Okay, you like it, she said, walking back into the bathroom. When she appeared a few moments later in another jumpsuit, which was even smaller than the first. The temperature in the room seemed to become higher. "What do you think about it?" she asked shyly. "Kat, you're not wearing that," I said sharply. She arched one eyebrow defiantly. "If guys see you in this suit, they'll only think one thing," I said. "So what is it?" she asked. "Well, you know," I said nervously, "they'll want to. So what do you think about it?" she asked. I didn't dare answer her. She came even closer to me, and I stepped back. She laughed and went back to the bathroom. I tried to think clearly. I thought about what I had just seen and reminded myself that she did have wrinkles. But damn, it was still the best body I've ever seen. I don't remember ever being so excited by seeing a woman in a swimsuit. Kat had much more skimpy underwear, which never had that effect on me. When Kat came out in that blue bikini, I almost lost it. Again, it wasn't very risky by today's standards, but the body it was trying to hold on to made it very exciting. When she saw my reaction, she simply smiled at me and went back to the bathroom. I wanted her more than any woman I had ever seen. "This one, Ray?" she asked. I was so busy looking at her that I didn't hear her talking to me. "Kat," I said slowly, "it's time for you to stop. I think maybe I shouldn't go to Hawaii with you." She looked disappointed and walked towards me. "But why?" she asked. "Ray, I'm getting old. I train really hard, eat right, sleep enough, and all that. But I can't fight against time forever. From now on, I will only do what brings me pleasure. All my children are grown, gone, and living their own lives. It's time for me to live my life." My mother and her mother were beautiful women, much better than me, she said. I laughed out loud. "Stop lying, Kat," I said. "I do not think that's possible." "Anyway," she continued, "I think I had a plan for tonight, but maybe I'm moving too fast and I've scared you. If you want, I'll go tomorrow and buy some more grandma swimsuits. I promise I'll buy it." "Kat, you have it all wrong," I said. "The problem is not with you, but with me. Every costume you wore tonight only excited me, and soon I began to think about things that were definitely unpleasant and unfriendly." "So you like my suits?" she asked. I nodded my head vigorously. "So what if we compromise then?" she smiled. "What was on your mind?" I asked. "Well, how about we go and buy something more modest for the beach and pool, and I'll just wear the ones I bought today for you," she asked. "For me?" I stuttered. She looked down and nodded. "I'll just wear them if we're messing around alone. For example, if it's a rainy day and we stay in the room and read or watch TV." "Okay," I said shyly. "You know, at my age, there are days when we stay at home even if it doesn't rain," she grinned. "Well, I'd like you to rest," I agreed. "I'd like you to look at one more suit," she said. Somehow, during the conversation, we got closer, and she rubbed my arm. "Kat, I don't think I can handle another suit," I said nervously. "We almost had a big misunderstanding because neither of us was being completely honest," she said. "Let's not do this again. From now on, let's tell each other the truth and not try to be polite or spare each other's feelings, okay?" "Okay," I said. "Kat, I really like looking at your body, but if the costume you want me to show is as revealing as the last few, I'll go in shorts." "Much better," she said. "This suit is older than all the ones I showed you today. This is what I most wanted to know your opinion about." Then she went to the bathroom. I felt safe again. First, if the suit were older, it would probably be less risky, I thought. Then I remembered a couple more things she said. Did she really say that on rainy days we would stay in this room? How will the two of us only have one room? Perhaps it was a room with a couple of bedrooms and a common area like a living room or something else. This is probably what she meant. Kat then came out of the bathroom. Kat was completely naked and slowly walked towards me. "How do you like this suit, Ray?" she asked. Her voice was full of lust, and I was hornier than I had ever been in my entire 20 years on the planet. I was in heaven and flying high. I smiled and prepared to answer her, and suddenly we heard this terrible sound. "Grandma, what the hell are you doing?" Kat squealed. She was standing right behind us, and she was angry. We were both so busy with each other that we didn't hear her open the door or open the door. You didn't hear me, damn it, she asked again. Exactly what the hell is going on here? I froze in shock. Kat, on the other hand, reacted like a lioness. She shook her head, freeing all that hair, and then got off me and walked over to Kat. Why are you here? She asked her directly. I immediately noticed that Kat was not nervous or timid. Although she was smaller and naked, she approached Kat. I've been calling and looking for Ray all day, Kat said boringly. Grandma, why are you naked here with my fiancé? A guy, Kat said. He never asked you to marry him. Ex-boyfriend, I added. Don't forget that she left me. I didn't, Kat snorted. Grandma, he still has all his clothes in place, so nothing serious happened. I won't say anything to Dad or family, but you owe me, and you need to stay away from my boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend, I said again. And Kat, we're not together anymore. Since when? She screamed. Since last night when we walked into your apartment and saw you having sex with 3 guys, Kat said. Oh, said Kat, visibly pale. It was a mistake. It just happened. Don't be mad, it was just sex. It had nothing to do with love. I love you, Ray. I don't like any of them. I just did it so Darren could help me with my grades. So you had sex with him and a couple of his friends for a threesome, I asked. At least it was worth getting a B+. Ray, we can work this out. Do not get mad. It didn't mean anything, she said boringly. I'm not mad, Kat, I said. I'm relieved. Are you relieved? She asked. Hell yes, I said, walking over to my TV. Look. She walked over to my TV and saw me taking something out of the back. This was my best hiding place because Kat didn't care how anything worked. If something didn't do its job, she just called me and I either fixed it or bought another one. Her eyes widened as I pulled out the box. Damn, I was so into this engagement thing that I was actually going to ask you to marry me when we graduate, I told her. It would be a nightmare. Now that I think about it, I'm sure you would have cheated on me even after marriage. So, in a way, you saved me from a lot of heartbreak in the future. She looked at me, but didn't say anything. She was still looking at the box. Thank you, Kat, I said with mock seriousness. If it weren't for you, my life would be hell. Imagine, I'm married to a cheating bitch who never loved me. But I love you, she insisted. We need to talk about this after my grandma leaves. We have nothing to talk about, Kat, I said. Have a good life. I crossed the room and opened the door for her. Wait until I tell Dad, she told Kat. I hope you do, Kat said calmly. Are you hopeful? Kat asked in surprise. It just didn't fit in her head. Think about it, Kat said. It makes my life easier and saves me money. This is exactly what I want. She paused for a second and grabbed my hand. She pulled me onto the couch and sat on me while Kat watched. Sooner or later, your dad, my son Thomas, will find out about Ray and me. He will be shocked, of course, but eventually he will have to come to terms with it. I hope Ray and I will be friends for a long time. The sooner your dad and his brothers get used to this, the better for everyone. Kat was stunned as she listened to her grandmother. Besides how it will affect you, Kat continued. Of all my granddaughters, I would never have expected you to be suicidal. What? Asked Kat. What are you talking about? Well, you're basically cutting your throat twice, Kat said. How do I do this? Kat asked, sitting down next to us. Well, when you run home and tell your dad, he'll call me. Like I said, he'll find out about Ray and me sooner or later. If it's earlier then, that's a problem for you because my old brain doesn't work as fast as it used to. So I can't figure out how not to tell him that you're using the apartment he's paying for as some kind of budget academic motel. I'm sure he'll be very angry when he hears how you spend your nights. You don't dare tell him this, Kat hissed. Yeah, I dare you, Kat hissed just as venomously in response. And believe me, I'm old enough to do whatever I want. No one pays my bills or supports me. Can you say the same? So you'll end up in a lot more shit than I did. And you will create another big problem for yourself. Which one? Asked Kat. She has become much paler since she started listening to her grandmother. Well, dear, you will make me your enemy. So when I die, you won't get as much as you think, especially since you're my most special granddaughter and named after me. Okay, Grandma, I won't say a word, Kat said very sweetly. She stood up. Ray, honey, I'll call you tomorrow so we can talk. Don't worry, I told her. We broke up anyway. She left in anger. Are you okay? Everything is fine, I said. Don't worry, we'll have plenty of time for that in Hawaii, she smiled. Hawaii was great. I've never had a better time in my life. Before we even checked into the hotel or had sex, I discovered what Kat had known since her first night at the concert. She and I, despite the age difference, were made for each other. We had the same temperament and liked the same things. In the few areas where our tastes differed, we were both willing to make concessions and find compromises. There was one area where there was no need for compromise, the bedroom. We were with each other constantly. I was a young man with young needs, and Kat was trying to make up for lost time. It had been a long time for her, and she was trying to make up for it and try everything she had read or heard about. There was nothing she wouldn't try. It was very refreshing for me. I could really relax with her and be myself. With her granddaughter, I often felt like I was trying to pretend or act a certain way so as not to lose her. I didn't have any illusions with Kat. I knew she was completely mine, just as she knew she owned me completely. We did things that were illegal in some states, but we only did them with each other. We spent 3 weeks in Hawaii, and then I started my summer job at NGA. Mr. Johnson himself came down to the office to meet me on the first day. I worked tirelessly there and was soon trusted with things that many other interns were not trusted with. My parents were disappointed that I didn't come home for the summer, but they understood how important work was. I don't think they noticed the change when I finally told him that he is in love with Catherine. That's nice, honey, Mom said. You think she's the one? Without hesitation, I told her I was sure. What makes her so special? My mom asked me. Well, Mom, I said, she is one of a kind. It is often imitated, but never duplicated. I laughed, remembering where I heard it. After hanging up, I realized that she thought I was still talking about my granddaughter. Catherine bought an apartment here in the city to live in. We had a big barbecue for our housewarming party. Catherine warned me that there would probably be fireworks. She invited her whole family. In fact, it was intended to be a dual-purpose event. At first, it was a way to show off his new home to his family, and secondly, so that they know everything about me. Naturally, the Cat family will arrive first. Kat's father, as usual, greeted me warmly when he saw me. Her mother just looked at me. Kat said, "Honey, why don't you get the grill going?" Thomas and I moved at the same time. Thomas smiled and said, "Thanks for trying to help Ray, but I think she was talking to me." Thomas, you can help Ray if you want, but it's his grill, Kat smiled. What do you mean, Mom? Thomas asked, still smiling. Mona and Kat were busy in the garden looking at Kat's plants and didn't hear anything. Catherine called Thomas to sit with her, and we talked. He was shocked. He really went crazy and started calling me different names. He blamed Catherine for finally falling into old age. Finally, Catherine calmed him down and said that perhaps he should go home and come back when he calmed down. He gathered his wife and daughter and did just that. Luckily, his younger twin brothers and their families were more open-minded. Both Carl and Cal just shook my hand and started asking me questions. Carl's wife Linda was very pregnant, and I spent most of the day running back and forth bringing her things. Cal's wife Debbie was very sweet and open. It was the woman who spat out her food when she found out about Kat and me. She surprised me more than anyone else that day. "You obviously treat your mom very well," she said. "I haven't seen her so happy for a long time." It was as if someone had brought the breath of life back into her. She hugged me tightly and made herself a friend for life. Kat, of course, really confused me. He pumped something into me. She laughed. All her children were in shock. The grandchildren didn't understand it, but we had a great time. Everything was going great, except that her eldest and closest son simply did not approve of us. By then, I loved Kat so much that I would do anything to make her happy. I called Thomas and invited him to lunch. "Mr. Smythe, what can I do to heal this rift between you and your mother?" I asked him before he even sat down. "Ray, this is so strange," he said. "I always thought of you as a sweet young man. I kind of expected you to marry my daughter, and the next thing I know, you're dating a woman who's almost 3 times your age. And what's worse, she's my mom. How the hell did this happen? None of us knows when or where we will find love," I said. "I thought I was in love with your daughter. I followed her around like a puppy. I did everything she asked me to do," I said. He smiled and said, I remember. I remember her telling us that she was going to marry you. So when she asked me to take your mom to that concert, to be honest, I didn't want to do this. But I loved her so much that I agreed, even though it meant that we would not be together at our concert. We dated for 6 months that night. It meant a lot to me, but obviously not to her. "How could you say this?" he asked. "She was really upset about it when you guys stopped seeing each other. When I saw you at Mom's apartment, I thought Mom was trying to get you two back together." "Mr. Smythe, what we are talking about goes no further. This must remain a secret between us," I said. He nodded his head, and I continued. "When I first saw your mother, I no longer thought that going to a concert with her was a burdensome task. She is the most beautiful woman I have ever met. I was still in love, or thought I was in love, with your daughter, but we had a great time and we got along very well. She asked me to go get some ice cream after the concert and we talked. Looks like she really needed to get out and have some fun. So I asked her to go dance. You know women and their shoes. She didn't have the right shoes for dancing, so we went to Kat's apartment to borrow some. We caught my girlfriend having sex with someone else on our anniversary. It literally broke my heart. This is what broke me and Kat. Then your mom and I just became friends. Then things got even deeper. We're just coming. Anyone who spends any time with us can see this. We really don't care whether people accept us or not. You are her eldest son, so your absence from us hurts her and me. That's why I wanted to talk to you today. I'm going to be with her for the rest of our lives, so it would be great if you could be a part of it. Who knows, maybe someday she'll leave me too, and you'll be happy. You'll probably leave her and leave her heartbroken," he said. "If this happens, wouldn't you want to be there to pick up the pieces and say, 'I told you so,'" I asked. "I'll think about it," he said. "I don't promise you anything." It took another month or so, but he began to come around. Kat and Mona never did this. They always hated me. When school started again, Kat came up to me outside one of my classes and asked if I was done with my stupid summer fling since summer was over. I just laughed at her and told her that I ended my stupid affair with her a few months ago. I was seriously in love. "What about me? I love you, Ray," she said. "I have everything she has, and mine are younger." "Yes, but hers is better," I said. "Besides, I can trust her." "You just have this sort of fixation on gilfs right now," she said. "Sooner or later, you will come to your senses and realize that you don't need the older version of me." "Kat, you're actually a disgusting version of her," I said. "I need the original, the often imitated, never duplicated gilf." "Fuck you, Ray," she snapped. "Never again," I replied. We had Thanksgiving dinner at Thomas's house, and Mona went out of her way to embarrass me and make me feel uncomfortable. She did stupid things like setting up a nice table with place cards for everyone there, including her nieces and nephews' friends. Of course, there was no place for me at the table, nor were there any place cards. Later, she made the effort to set up a small table off to the side, next to their dog's food bowl, just for me. Catherine, in her usual style, pulled it off beautifully. She sat me down in her place at the head of the table and then sat on my lap. We fed each other throughout the meal. Mona could be heard grumbling the entire time about how undignified it was. Catherine laughed every time Mona said something. Finally, Debbie asked, "Mom, what's so funny?" Catherine told her that Mona was deliberately trying to humiliate me and thought it was funny, but she only made herself look stupid and became poorer. Mona choked on what she was eating after hearing this. Mona, how much money do you think I'll leave for you personally? Asked Catherine. Come up with an amount for yourself. Every time you do something to harm, humiliate, or insult the man I love, deduct $100,000 from that amount. Mona's eyes widened and she left the table. From that moment on, she was always very polite to me. She still looked at me from under her brows at every opportunity, but she was very, very damn polite. Holidays, vacations, and special occasions were times when the whole family would gather. With the exception of Mona and Kat, I truly believed that they all accepted me. Kat never stopped trying. The following summer, when we had been together for almost a year, she was still trying. We had a pool party to celebrate my upcoming graduation and my hiring at Nathan Johnson Associates as an architect. Kat came out of the gazebo in a bikini and came up to me. "What do you think about it?" she asked. "I think you missed this in your bed." "Wow," I said. "Your grandma looks much better in a bikini than you do. Her breasts are bigger and feel better than I remember yours. Her ass is much nicer too. And your belly is already starting to appear. Maybe one of the guys you're sleeping with got you pregnant." She just looked shocked. To answer your second question, I have to admit that you are right. I miss having you in my bed, but only because when we were together, I could relax. You always just lay there like a block of wood with two balloons attached to it. Your grandma is wearing me out. But on the other hand, with her, I know that she does this because she loves me and I love her. I can also trust her. She will never do to me what you did. Now she really glared at me. Someday, Ray, you'll regret not staying with me. Grandma is not eternal. None of us last forever, I replied sharply. So I will cherish every day I have with her, no matter how long we have left. And who knows, maybe with all these sexually transmitted diseases, you'll catch something at one of your sex parties and die before us. What do you mean us, Ray? She said sarcastically. This may be the first time I've really been in love, I said quietly. But I don't know if I even want to live if something happens to her. You're just pathetic, she said. Get away from me. I turned and came face to face with Catherine and Debbie, who had heard most of our conversation. She's one spoiled little bitch, Debbie said. Catherine didn't say anything. She just grabbed my hand and pulled me through the house. Catherine, I'm sorry, I said nervously. I know she's your special granddaughter, and I shouldn't have talked to her like that, but she pissed me off. Shut up, Ray, she said. She grabbed her keys from the kitchen counter, and we got into her Jaguar. We drove about 4 miles from our condo. It's far enough here, she said. I looked around and saw that we were in front of a very nasty motel. Okay, get a room. I looked at her strangely. Look, if you want to kick me out, that's fine, but I want to get my stuff and stay in a better place than this. I have a good job. I can afford the best. She threw her head back and started laughing like there was no tomorrow. Ray, what makes you think we're here? She laughed. Well, I lost my patience with Kat and you're mad at me, I said. No, I saw how Kat tried to tease you and heard everything you said to her. What you told her got me so excited that I was going to have your brains, and I didn't want the kids to hear me scream, so we had to leave. Now get a room. We returned to the party a couple of hours later. Luckily, we were in time for dinner. Apparently, Debbie told everyone about the incident. Even Thomas looked at me favorably. A few months later, he and I met again for lunch. I hate to tell you this, he said, but you will be shocked again. Please don't tell me you're leaving her, he said. I really didn't want to be right this time. No, this is worse, I said. Thomas, I finished school and have a great job. He winced a little at that. I think he was annoyed that Kat never earned enough credits to graduate and would only graduate in 6 years. Anyway, I love Kat and I want to be with her forever. But what we're doing isn't enough for me, I said. Well, you are a young man. You can't expect her to keep up with you. What do you want me to do? Help me find my mistress, he asked. His face showed shock and anger, and he stood up. Thomas, sit down, I laughed. He sat down, still looking at me strangely. I called you here because the last time we had one of these conversations was after Kat and I moved in together. This time I wanted you to be the first to know. He stared at me. Thomas, I want Catherine to marry me. This is not about the law, this is about much more. As you already know, I have been working at the company for about a year and have risen quickly. I've gotten several promotions and I know your mom is rich, but we don't live off her money. I provide for us now. This is great because there will be more money for you and your children when the day comes when she is no more. But I want her to be my lawful wife. You know the story about your biological father and how she never married him, which was a scandal in those days. I want her to experience what it's like to be someone's wife, particularly mine. Look, I gave him a set of documents that I had prepared, which stated that in the event of a divorce, we would both leave with what we came into the marriage with. I will not lay claim to her property, period. Does Mom know about this? He asked. No, I wanted to warn you first, I said. You know she'll never sign this, he said. We all know you didn't pursue her for the money, Ray. What do you want from me? Well, I was hoping you would give me your blessing so I could ask for it and help me find the ring, I said. You have received a blessing, he said. Good luck finding the ring. I don't want to be part of choosing the wrong one. Try talking to Debbie. So I did. I called Cal and told him I needed to talk to Debbie. Debbie and I spent a couple of Saturdays and finally found what we thought was the perfect ring. We then organized another barbecue for this event. Debbie and I were discussing the best way for me to ask Kat a question when all hell broke loose. Debbie, of all my sisters-in-law, I trusted you the most, Kat said. Get out of my house. Cal came over to see what was going on. Debbie was almost crying. Thomas came too. Mom, this is not at all what you think, he snapped. Thomas, how do you know that I think you, she began, and then stopped. Kat, I began, you really screwed up, sweetie. How? She asked. I really thought we had it perfect. No, I've been thinking about this for a long time, I said. I talked to Thomas about this a few weeks ago. Cal and Debbie helped too, especially Debbie. Carl was supposed to organize it, but now it's all screwed up. Can we fix this? She asked with tears starting to flow. No, we just need to do it now, I said. Catherine Smythe, I love you. Will you marry me? I asked. Her eyes were open in shock. She looked around and saw that everyone was looking at us, and even more people were heading in our direction. Did you all know about this? She asked. He asked me for my blessing, Thomas said. He asked Debbie to help him find the ring, Cal said. I'm sorry, Debbie. I was jealous, Kat said. Forget about it, Mom. What answer? Debbie asked. She looked around and said, No. I was crushed. Even Thomas was shocked. Well, maybe, Kat corrected, grabbing my hands. We'll be back, she said, pulling me out of the house. You already know where we went. She tried to kill me again, but came back with my ring. Neither Kat nor Mona attended our wedding by choice. Thomas had to force them both to leave. Catherine, of course, refused to sign the prenuptial agreement, as Thomas predicted. When I told her we couldn't get married otherwise, she relented and signed it. Then she immediately tore it apart. The following summer, we gathered together to learn more shocking family news. Kat was pregnant and didn't know who the father was. Thomas was beside himself. I took him for a spin in my new car, a silver Shelby GT 350 Mustang. We talked, and he told me how worried he was about her future. I told him that I would find her a job at the company and look after her. This seemed to make him feel a little better. A few weeks later, we learned that Kat had lost her baby. Somehow, she didn't seem too sad about it. She returned to the life she lived. When I told her about the job, she looked at me like I was crazy. I don't need a damn idiot, she snapped. It should have been your business. You should have gotten a great job and taken care of me, like my mom and dad. You know, just because you married my grandmother doesn't make you my fucking grandfather, so don't do it. Don't try to give me any advice. Just 2 years ago, you, like everyone else, begged me for sex. Which pipeline? I asked. I know Grandma gives you money left and right, she said. I saw that damn car. It's not cheap. Cat, I bought the car with my own money, I said. Your grandmother's money is safe in the bank and her investments. Cat just shook her head and walked away. I told you she was stupid, Cat said when we talked about it later. I tried so hard to love this girl and her mother, she snapped. But they continued to insist. First Mona, now her daughter. I don't know how much more I can take. For the first time since I knew her, I saw Cat upset. Honey, don't let that girl get you down, I said. It's not worth it. She's not worth it. Let's continue with the plan. I can get more free time from work. Let's do that. If I didn't have you, she said, shaking her head. You won't have half as many problems, I finished for her. Her face briefly showed anger again, and then she smiled. I would be just another sad 60-year-old woman who didn't have love in her life. I would be another old woman put on a shelf somewhere in a nursing home, waiting for her by a family who no longer has time for her. Die so they can divide her assets, she said. Your children love you, I told her. Oh, they love you too, she said. Most of the grandchildren who are younger than you now call you Grandpa. She laughed at my reaction to this. Grandfather at 25 years old. Ray, what will happen to us? She asked seriously one night as we lay cuddled together in bed after one of her lung-busting marathon sex sessions. What will happen to us when my body starts to fail and I can no longer have sex with you? Kat trained like an Olympic athlete. Every morning she went for a run either outside or on our treadmill. She did yoga 3 days a week and strength training 3 days a week. Her diet was very Spartan most days, although she loved to spoil me. At 25, I couldn't do most of the workouts she did. But you can only hold back the movement of time for so long. Now it was my turn to be angry. Kat, I love you, I told her. Notice that I didn't say that I love having sex with you, although I do. Our sex is amazing, but that's not all we have. My philosophy is that we will do it until we can't do it anymore. And when we can't, we will still travel together and take long walks holding hands. We will find new ways to just kiss and hug each other and make each other happy. And when we can't do that anymore, we'll sit down and talk to each other about everything we've done and seen. We've been together for 4 years now, and we always have something to talk about. I seriously don't think we'll ever make it. That's why it's very important that we pick another one from our awesome dozen as soon as possible and go there, I told her. I don't think you like traveling, Ray, she said seriously. It takes your mind off your work or the building you're designing. I think you only take these trips with me for 2 reasons, she said. I started laughing and squeezed her tighter. I noticed that even then she seemed a little weaker than when we first met. So who has 2 things for every question? I laughed. Okay, Kat, what are your 2 reasons? First of all, you go on these trips because you love me so much that you would do anything to make me happy, and you know that I love to travel, she said. I nodded and told her it was true. And secondly, you just like to take me to different hotels, she smirked. We both laughed and almost didn't notice the soft knock on our door. Just a minute, Kat said. She put on a robe and threw it to me too. Come in, she said. Hi, Mom, Thomas said. We need to talk. Why don't you get dressed while I talk to Dad for a few minutes? Dad? I thought this was something new. A 44-year-old man at 25 calls me Dad. Ray, I want to apologize to you, he said, looking at me. I started to say something, but he interrupted me. From the very beginning of this thing with you and my mom, I think at first I was against it. I thought you were just using her for money or something. You have to admit, this is a strange relationship. I don't know why anyone finds this so strange. Older men with young hot women are not only accepted in society, but also admired. I don't know why people think the opposite is strange. Anyway, after a while, I think we all came to receive you too. Well, most of us anyway. I admit, I still had some doubts. But Ray, I couldn't help but hear what you just said to her, and I really felt bad for the way I treated you. This won't happen again. I simply nodded as Kat walked into the room. I'll leave you two to talk, I said. Actually, I need you to be in on this too, he said. Okay, I said. We went into the dining room and sat down at the table. This is Kat, he said. I don't know what to do with her anymore. Ray, she's a few months older than you. She turns 26 next week. Since the miscarriage, and frankly before it, her life has been in a downward spiral. All she does is lie at home all day and go out every evening. She doesn't come home until 4 or 5 in the morning. We received a call this morning asking us to pick her up because she was arrested for drug possession and public intoxication. You won't believe how she was dressed. Apparently, she also gave away her car during the night. The guys she gave the car to caused her some damage, and we are responsible for this, since the car is in my name. He put his hands behind his head. I've been trying to convince her to get a job for months. I even tried to get her to come and work in my office on weekends. She can't do anything. She doesn't know anything about anything. I know she never got her degree, but damn, she went to college for 6 damn years. What did I pay for? She can't write simple tables. She cannot enter information into the database. She can't even fucking type. What did she learn at school? Last week, I went out into the backyard to drop off a check to our lawn maintenance guy. He didn't hear me calling him because he was so busy looking at the house. I walked up behind him and almost had a heart attack. Kat was at the window, dancing naked and pressing her ass and breasts against the window. I ran inside to get her to stop. She just laughed about it and said she was just running them around so they would work better. I could tell Kat was having a hard time not laughing. What was she like at school, Ray? When did things get so bad? How the hell do we fix this? He asked. I looked at Kat and she just shrugged. I looked at her again and tilted my head. Her eyes bulged again and she shrugged again. Thomas looked at both of us and said, "Okay, guys, there's something you're not telling me, are you?" Kat saw the pain on his face and nodded at me. Thomas, do you remember our man-to-man conversation that I swore to secrecy several years ago? I said. The one where you told me why you and Kat broke up, he said. This is the one, I said. Thomas, I'm sorry, but I didn't tell you the truth. I didn't lie to you, but I didn't tell you the whole truth. When your mom and I caught Kat, she wasn't fucking another guy. She was fucking 3 other guys. One of them was a teaching assistant in her economics class. I can't say for sure, but that's probably how she went through most of the classes without really learning much. Kat has always had a way with guys. To be honest, I did do many of her jobs and assignments either with her or sometimes just for her. I think a lot of it is my fault, I said. What is your fault? Asked Kat. I agree too, Ray, Thomas said. So you helped her at school. Many students use this. In the business world, we call it networking. It's not just about school, I said. Thomas, your mom and I talked for hours about how you struggled through school and got your degree in marketing. She's very proud of you. I did the same to become an architect. Of course, they helped me. Kat got me that internship at NJA that really helped pave the way for me to succeed. She did something similar for me, he said. I still don't see it. It's easy, I said. You and I planned what we wanted to do in life. We stuck to our plans and found success in our chosen careers. We also found people we wanted to be with. He nodded and let me know that he had been following me so far. Kat had a plan too, I said. But her plan didn't work. She didn't have a backup plan, so she just spins. Right now, she doesn't know whether to try to break through or try something else. What was her plan? He asked. Believe it or not, I paid for her college education for the whole 6 damn years. Sorry, Mom, but I have no idea what she wanted to do with her life. Yes, you do, I said. She wanted to be just like her mother. Remember when she told you that she was going to marry me and wanted our marriage to be like yours and Mona's? Kat snorted and became very angry when she heard this. Neither Tom nor I understood why she made such an angry face, so we moved on. The question is, I said, how can we help her now? Well, we have time to figure it out, he said. My lawyer told me that if we put her in an addiction treatment program, we could keep her out of jail. I'll still have to pay for all the damage to the car and her fines, but keeping her out of jail is a big step. This gives us time to travel, Ray, Kat said. We'll meet again to talk about this when we get back. Well, I already have an idea, I said. Thomas looked at me. He was interested. You and I need to look at everyone we do business with who owes us a favor, I said. We are hiring several of these people to offer Kat a job. Start with something simple that she can grow into. We didn't tell her it came from us. If necessary, we will even subsidize the work for a while. This way, the company she works for won't lose money on this. How will buying her a job help? Asked Kat. The only thing wrong with this girl is that we've already ruined her. Well, this job will make her more independent, I said. We also hope it will make her more responsible and introduce her to a completely different group of people, so maybe it will keep her away from the party animals. I love the idea, Thomas said. We need to find some places so she can go to some interviews. Then she won't think we arranged it. We can start planning as soon as you guys get back. Thomas was a little happier when he left than when he first arrived here. Kat, on the other hand, folded her arms across her chest and was clearly angry. Honey, why are you angry? I asked. Ray, you're a great guy and I love you. In fact, you are the only man I have ever truly loved. You mean so much more to me than that bastard who got me pregnant twice and then ran away before he could even ask me to marry him. You know, in those days, it completely ruined my reputation. If my dad hadn't been rich, my life would have been ruined. I already know that story, Kat, I said, hugging her again. No, Ray, girls Kat's age are not mature enough to appreciate people for their true qualities, especially when it comes to men. They usually prefer athletes or hot guys. Kat always did this before she met you, so I'm kind and wondered why she was with you. Now I know and I'm angry. Kat told me a couple of stories that she had been holding back for a long time. After she told me, I understood a lot more about this family and shook my head. A few weeks later, Kat left the addiction treatment program and took a job at one of the companies we founded. 2 days later, she was fired. Over the next 3 weeks, she reviewed all 4 companies we had created. Thomas eventually gave her a job in his office, where she did virtually nothing, and that was the status quo for the next few years. Meanwhile, the years flew by for Kat and me. We visited all 12 places on our kick-ass dozen list and started a new list. We were very happy and very in love. Kat was delighted with every new thing or place we discovered. We took thousands of photos and recorded hours of video footage. Then one morning, after particularly intense lovemaking, it happened. It wasn't something most people would notice, but it scared the crap out of me. The whole family was preparing for a barbecue. This meant children, grandchildren, and even our first great-grandchildren. Thomas, Kat, Mona, and I were sitting at the table. Cal and Debbie arrived. Cal came over and hugged Kat, and she called him Carl. Most people sometimes confuse twins, but Kat never did that. I was afraid. Thomas, you keep an eye on everything and cook on the grill, I said. Ray, you guys aren't going to attack the motel again, are you? He laughed. No, we're going to the emergency room, I said seriously. Honey, I'm fine, Kat said. It was just a grown-up moment. I'm going to start them from time to time. Catherine Smythe Jordan, I said. Do you love me? Of course, she smiled. I think we all know that. Then get dressed, I said seriously. If this is a trifle, you will have a reason to laugh at me. But we are going. A few hours later, Thomas called my cell phone. Ray, are you on your way back already? He laughed. Or will you stay until the motel closes? Shall I save the steak for you? Thomas, I'm at St. Mark's, I said. I need you to come here. 1. Thomas arrived 15 minutes later. He was still wearing shorts and a visor on his head, and he was not alone. Debbie was with him, and she looked worried. She had a TIA, I said. What does she have? He asked. It's like a mini stroke, I said. Blood flow to the brain is temporarily disrupted. With a true stroke, symptoms may be permanent. In this case, it was only temporary. They need to do more tests to determine whether this is a serious condition or whether it was due to stress or another reason. He noticed that I was holding her hand while she was sleeping. Don't worry, they just gave her something to relax during the MRI, and it relaxed her too much. She's just sleeping. He nodded his head. Debbie was already on the phone, relaying information to the others. We sat there for a while, watching her sleep. How did you know, Dad? He asked. I didn't know, I said. I just noticed a mistake with your brother. She never confuses them, and she just looked weird to me. It was very minor, but her coordination was impaired, and so was her speech. She said it was because she was tired, but I knew that wasn't the case. Damn it, he said. I didn't notice anything. Me too, Debbie said. You two don't live with her, I said. You don't talk to her or look at her every day. Do you know that I sometimes just sit and watch her while she sleeps for hours? I can't help myself. She is simply the most beautiful thing I have ever seen and— You know she can't sleep with this chatter, Kat said, opening her eyes. You just had to mess it up, didn't you? Spoil what? I asked. I know why you brought me here, she said. Everyone knows I was going to sneak you back to our motel today and fuck your brains out. After last night, you were scared, she chuckled. You thought I was going to drain you completely, didn't you? Debbie blushed and started laughing. Even the doctor who entered the room and stood behind Thomas turned away for a moment. Doctor, could this be related to the attack? I asked. He smiled. I highly doubt it, he said. A healthy sex life can actually contribute to your wife's incredible health and fitness. But eventually we all lose this race. We would like to keep her here for a few days for observation and further tests. But I'm sure she'll be fine. Told you so, Kat grinned. Doctor, I want her to be moved to a semi-private room, I said. But sir, he said, your insurance will pay for a private room if you want. I know, I said, and I would have paid for it if they hadn't covered it. I want you to put her in a semi-private room and charge us for a private one. He looked puzzled. So do Thomas and Debbie. Dad, did you have a Tia too? Thomas asked. The semi-private room has 2 beds, I said. She will be the only patient in the room, so they can charge us for a private room so no one else will be housed there. So the other bed will just go to waste? Thomas asked. No, I'll sleep there for the next few days, I said. Your mother and I have never been apart since we were together, and we won't start now. He's just doing this to try to violate my virtue while I'm in the hospital, Kat said. I would never do that, Kat, I said. Why not? She asked. We did it everywhere. Don't pretend it didn't occur to you. It definitely came to me. What do you mean, everywhere, Mom? Thomas asked. Oh, we've done that a few times at your house, she chuckled. And in yours, Debbie. Where in my house? Thomas asked. In your room, I said. You were on vacation. What about my dining room? He asked with an irritated voice. 2 years ago, we celebrated Christmas at my house. The whole family was there. After everyone left, I found a pair of panties on the table where we had just had lunch a few hours ago. It was you, wasn't it? I lowered my head in embarrassment. Hey, at least we waited until lunch was over, Kat said. Oh God, I pinned it on Kat, he said. I already knew you were doing this at my house, Debbie said. I thought it was cute. Kat was in the hospital for 4 days. I didn't leave her for a minute. We had to make some changes to our lifestyle. Kat had always been as healthy as a horse, but now she had to take several medications to prevent blood clots, lower her blood pressure, and other purposes. At first, it was minor lifestyle changes, but over the years, they became more and more the norm. We spent every possible minute of every day together. Our love affairs never stopped, but we greatly reduced their frequency. Every day, Kat became more and more dear to me. We started a new tradition of having dinners at our house every Sunday where Kat would complain to the kids about how I treated her. She loudly asked Thomas if he could set her up with one of the young summer interns in his office. "Mom, why are you asking me to do this?" he asked in shock. "Your father is getting old, Thomas. He can't keep up with me. We only did this twice last week. I think I'll have to take a lover on the side." Everyone was almost dying of laughter, especially me. There I was, as always, with my family around us, holding her hand. "Carl," she said, "can I stay with you for a few days?" she asked. "Why, Mom?" he asked. "Because I can't get any privacy here," she said. "This pervert even follows me and stands at the bathroom door. Sooner or later, he's going to have to learn to stand on his own two legs and let me pee in peace." Everyone was shocked by her words. I was sure she meant it as a joke. The part about me following her into the bathroom was really funny, but I think it was at that point that they really realized that she wouldn't be with us forever, and they would have to figure out what to do with me. Most of them realized that I had been with Kat for most of my adult life and had no idea how to live without her, or the desire to do so either. In their thoughts, I was not quite 30 years old, but my life had already been lived. That night was the first time I had a fight with someone in my family. Kat fell asleep in front of our fireplace while we talked about old times. Carl and his family had already left. Cal and Thomas were in the garage looking at my latest Mustang. I scoured the internet and finally found Roush Black Jack Special Edition. I paid almost 50% over market value, but it was worth it. Very few such cars were produced. I heard a sound behind me and turned around to see Mona entering the room. Kat never came to family gatherings. Nobody cared, and it was never mentioned. I rarely spoke to Mona, so seeing that she wanted to talk to me was strange. "She's sleeping," I said, smiling. Internally, I hoped she would just walk away and leave me alone with Kat. "I know you are devoted to the old lady," she said, "but you need to start thinking about your needs. A young man like you needs more than twice a week. I'm sure if you called Kat and were nice to her, she would take care of your needs and would be happy to do so." Before I got over the shock of her words, she sank even lower. "Kat thinks you like old ladies, so if she's right and you're really into older women, you might as well give me a call, although I'm not sure you can handle me." "Mona, I'm not going to tell Thomas about this," I said sharply, "but I want you to go and bring him here. Tell him you have a headache and need to go home, or make up something he will believe. And from now on, when we have these little meetings, find something else to do. Never come to my house again." "But she'll think I don't love her," Mona said, and "If Kat ever dies, I will make sure you get everything she left you," I said angrily. "Now go." Mona ran away like a scalded cat. I remembered what Kat had told me about her years ago, and I just shook my head. "Bitch," I said quietly. "You told her, honey," Kat smiled. "Sorry, Kat," I said. "How much of this did you hear?" "That's it," she said. "I thought you were sleeping," I said. "You still don't understand, do you?" she said. "Okay, let's try again. I love you, Ray Jordan. We are connected not by wires or gears, but by our hearts. Mona makes you nervous and upset. Your heart starts beating faster and you warm up. This means that my heart also starts beating faster, and this wakes me up." "Sorry," I said again. She simply smiled. "I wouldn't want it any other way," she said. "But while you're apologizing, there are a few things you really should apologize for." She nodded her head, sitting, smiling. "For example?" I asked. "You should apologize for taking so long for you to grow up and meet me," she said. "I wish we had more years together. You especially need to apologize for the 6 months you spent following my useless granddaughter. That's 6 more months I could have had. You really should apologize for being so timid and shy when we first met. That's at least another week we could spend having sex, and I'd really like another week of those days when we first met." "Uh-huh," I smiled. "Is there anything you missed?" I asked. "Ray, what I regret most is that we met too late for me to have your child. I love my sons and their families. We have a great family, but I would give anything but time with you to see what our kids would be like." Over the next few months, Kat became weaker. I took a vacation so I could spend every second with her. We planned a lot of things with her and the family, a lot of which never happened because she was too tired. Thomas planned a huge party for my 30th birthday. I'm sure she was special. Everyone came, swam in the pool, ate, and had a great time. I missed it, or rather we missed it. Kat slept through the entire party, and I just couldn't leave her. I started planning things around her being awake. There were days when she was very active and almost like the old cat. On such days, she could even take a few unsteady steps. The only problem with those days was that she slept almost all day for the next couple of days after them. I always thought Kat would live to be a healthy 80 years old, but it seems she's lived too much of a life for that. It was almost as if in life, as in running, there were sprinters and marathon runners, and the rest of us were somewhere in the middle. Kat was a world-class sprinter. I arranged another trip for us, which took days to prepare. This time the trip was much shorter. Instead of flying to Kathmandu, the trip was much closer to home. Debbie and I dressed Kat in an absolutely beautiful black dress. With the exception of a wrinkle or two, she looked much the same as she did when we first met 9 years ago. Of course, her health had deteriorated significantly since then, but what we lacked in energy, we made up for in shared memories. We went to hear the local symphony orchestra perform Mozart. Although the musicians and conductor were different, the magic of the music still transported us back in time. Kat would fall asleep for a few moments here and there, but would often squeeze my hand to let me know she was awake. Thomas was waiting for us outside in his car. When I called him and told him that Kat was a little tired and couldn't walk, he brought her wheelchair. I took her to Coldstone and we got ice cream and watched the boats for a while. That's what we did on our first date. She smiled at me with a big tear rolling down her cheek. "You're so sentimental," she said. "That's why I love you so much, Ray." "I love you, Kat," I said. Thomas smiled as he watched us. I leaned down to kiss her and secretly squeezed her breasts. "Aren't you too persistent, young man?" she asked. "We just met." At first, I thought she was joking. Then, looking at her face, I realized that she was not. She was still smiling, but her face was wrong. I called Thomas and told him to hurry. Thomas brought the wheelchair to us, and Kat didn't notice it. "Are you sure you love my granddaughter?" she asked. "I would never say this to anyone, but you have a nice face. This girl is bad. Get away from her as soon as possible." She finally looked at Thomas. He was shocked by her words about his daughter. "What the hell are you doing here, you bastard?" she spat. "Get away from me. How dare you try to come back into my life? You never called or wrote to find out about your sons." Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the incident ended. "I love you so much, Ray," she said and closed her eyes. "We better take her home," Thomas said. "She had another attack, didn't she?" I shook my head slowly. He just looked at me strangely. "Yes, I was. I have seen that. She talked to you as if she didn't know you, Dad. And she clearly thought I was a stranger," he said. "We need to take her home or to the hospital." "Thomas, she didn't think you were a stranger. She thought you were her father. It's too late to take her to the hospital, and she's already home." "You mean—" he began. I nodded slowly and patted him on the shoulder. "Thomas, you once said that you owe me a favor," I told him. "I want to use it now." "I owe you a lot more than one time, Dad," he said. "What do you want?" "An hour with her before we call the police, the coroner, the funeral home, and the family," I said. "There are a lot of things I still want to tell her." He nodded and started making calls. I don't think most people would understand, but he did. I held Kat in my arms once again. No wonder she was beautiful even in death. I told her how much I loved her and that I didn't think I was strong enough to live without her. I told her that I was already single and couldn't wait until we got back together. It seemed like an hour passed in an instant before I realized that Thomas was already next to me, and an ambulance stood nearby on the grass with its headlights off. I don't even remember how the car pulled up, but there were several people there. Those who wore hats took them off. They were all waiting for me. Kat's doctor came and explained her condition to the emergency technicians and the person from the coroner's office. They lovingly examined it and signed the documents, handing it over to the funeral director. They expressed their condolences to me and told me that my mother was truly a beloved woman. I didn't correct them. I think each of us copes with the death of a loved one differently. Over the next few days, I did a lot of stupid things. I went out to my car, Black Jack. This was my favorite of all the Mustangs. I was planning to go somewhere. As I got into the car and fastened my seatbelt, I started thinking about Kat. That thought led to another and another until Cal left the house. "Dad, are you back yet?" he asked. Then he looked at me. "You didn't go anywhere, right? You sat here in the car for 3 hours. Why?" I told him what happened, and from then on I had someone watching over me all the time. They were afraid that I would fall into depression and never get out of it. Several days passed, actually on the morning of the funeral, when I realized what I had to do. Kat wanted a funeral so her family could see her one last time. Instead of burial, she would be cremated and my journey would begin. The funeral was, as you would expect, very special. The service was non-religious. We all took turns standing and talking about our favorite memories of Kat and what made her special to us. Kat, of course, embarrassed herself and all of us by telling us how much she looked like Kat. I think she was saying this for my benefit, but I really didn't see any similarity between them other than the name. Kat's lawyer called us all together the next day to read her will. I didn't really want to be there, but I had to. There were things I should have done right. I saw Kat in the hallway shortly before the reading. "I bet you regret not staying with me now, don't you, Ray?" she chuckled. "Remember the marriage contract. You'll get nothing and I'll be damn rich. Maybe after I have affairs for a few years to make you suffer, I will let you marry me." "I have my own money, Kat," I said. "All I ever needed from your grandmother was love." Kat snorted and walked away. Mona didn't say a word to me. She just walked into the office. Kat left Carl $1 million. Linda, his wife, $500,000. She left each of their 3 children $100,000. The only condition for receiving the money was that they had to spend it. They could put it in the bank for a while, but Kat wanted them to use the money for things they wanted to do. She didn't believe in saving for a rainy day. She also left Carl $1 million and Debbie $1 million. Debbie became really close to Kat, and Kat saw her as the daughter she never had. She also left each of their children $100,000. Then the surprises began. She left an envelope for Thomas, her firstborn, saying that he and I would discuss his inheritance after his divorce. "What?" they all said at once. Mona almost fell out of her chair. Kat left Mona $5. She paid taxes on all other inheritances. Mona had to pay 33% inheritance tax, so she only received $3.65. Kat left her special granddaughter a quarter. After taxes, Kat received about 17 cents. Mona and Kat were furious. "This is nonsense," cried Kat. "I want my damn money." "What a scam," Mona shouted. They were even more angry to learn that Kat had left everything else to me. "We'll contest the will," Mona shouted. This woman was clearly out of her mind. "I assure you that Mrs. Jordan was of sound mind when she made this will. She was persistent on many points, including her wishes for how her husband would care for her ashes," said Kat's lawyer. "But why didn't she leave anything for her eldest son?" Mona asked. "And what is this nonsense about divorce? Thomas, do you know anything about divorcing me?" "Today was the first time I heard about it," Thomas said. "I'm shocked by the way she treated you. It makes sense that Mom didn't leave anything for Kat because Kat is in trouble right now." "Yes, but she completely deprived me," cried Kat. "She gave her other granddaughters, my cousins, $100,000. I was her special granddaughter, I had to. I bet it was all because of you, Ray," she said, looking at me. "Kat, she called Dana her best granddaughter and Mary Ann her favorite granddaughter," I said. She gave each of you a little nickname to make you feel special. This was the first thing I had actually said since the meeting began, and that opened the floodgates. Everyone came up to me to talk about this or that. Thomas, your mother loved you very much, I said. You'll probably get more than either of your brothers, but Kat wanted to wait until after the divorce so your inheritance wouldn't be shared with Mona as community property. She wanted to deprive Mon and not you. Mary Ann, I said to Carl's eldest daughter. She came up to me and sat down next to me. Kat and I spent a lot of time keeping an eye on what her grandchildren were doing and what they wanted to do. You want to take a vacation and go on a big trip with a bunch of friends, and now you have the money to do it, honey. But your car is a death trap. I pulled the keys to Kat's Jaguar out of my pocket. Take good care of it and remember your grandma when you ride it, I said. She also loved to travel. I think you inherited that from her. Thank you, Grandpa, she said. I'll tell you all about my journey when I get back. Dana, your turn, I said. Dana came over. Kat was getting angrier by the minute. Dana, you recently got engaged, didn't you? She nodded. Kat and I talked a lot about your boyfriend. I don't understand him, but she believed that he reminded her of me in those days. To get your life off to a good start, I think she would want you to have this condominium. I don't want you to waste your money on it, so I'll pay to have it redecorated for you. Just choose the colors and furniture you like. Everyone was stunned. Debbie walked up to me, looking puzzled. Ray, where are you going to live? She asked. Debbie, I can't stay here without Kat. Everywhere I look, I see the things we bought and think about what we thought back then, and it makes me miss her even more. When I started to cry, she hugged me and stroked my back. Kat gave me a task, so I will be traveling for quite a long time. When I get back, I'll find a place for myself. Debbie still looked unsure. I told Thomas, Mona, and Kat that we would meet to discuss the will, Kat's reasons, and some things she wanted them to know early in the morning. Debbie said she would be there too. I think she decided she needed to support me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I knew tomorrow would be a hard day. Cal and Debbie arrived early in the morning to make sure I had breakfast. We set our meeting for 9 a.m. I told Debbie that Thomas would need her support in the coming days. Kat arrived at 8:30 because she wanted to talk to me. It was funny to look at her and compare the woman she was when we first met to the woman she has become. She was still taller than Kat had ever been. She dyed her hair the same color as Kat's, although Kat's natural hair color would have turned gray long before we met. But that's where the similarities ended. Kat tried very hard to stay in shape. Kat's breasts were sagging, and she had a lot of fat on her stomach. Although she was only 30, she looked much older. Her face was covered in wrinkles, and her usual expression was a flat and tense mouth. She did not at all resemble the girl I once considered beloved. And she didn't radiate the same joy that her grandmother radiated. Kat was unique, and Kat would never reach her level. I was also only 30 years old. I would turn 31 in a few months, but I felt much older. Kat walked up to me and reached out to hug me while Debbie stood next to me, protecting me. I'm sorry about what I said yesterday, Kat said. None of this is as it should have been. I guess I just can't let go of my anger at losing you. Kat, you haven't lost me, I said. You deliberately cheated on me and expected me not to find out. This is a different situation. But I was young and stupid then, she said. I expected you to be angry for a while, and then we would get back together. I didn't expect you to fall in love and marry someone else, especially my grandmother. Why not? I asked. Well, because she's old, said Kat. Kat, when we met, Kat was more beautiful and in better shape than you ever were or will be, I said, starting to get angry. Well, we can start again, she whined. I'm still like her. I'm just a younger version of her. We even have the same name. You can call me Kat if you like. Fuck the money, Ray. I just want you back. But you're not like that, Kat, I said. Kat was unique. It was often imitated, but never duplicated. She was the original. You are a pale copy. I'm not even sure you're a copy. By this time, her parents had already arrived. Thomas greeted me warmly, as usual. Mona just looked at me angrily through her red eyes. "Well, we can get started," I said. I felt terrible. It felt like someone just tore my heart out of my chest. "Thomas," I said, "most of this concerns you and me, since Kat's will is not subject to dispute. The rest of Kat's net worth is approximately $7 million. About $3 million more is my money. Kat left your inheritance to my discretion. My intention is to change some of these things. Cal and Debbie definitely deserve more money. Kat was precise in the amounts she left to each grandchild. She wanted to leave them enough money that they could do whatever they wanted, but not so much that they could do nothing. We both want you to enjoy your money now while you can enjoy it. Life is too short to keep things on a shelf waiting for a rainy day. My intention is to give you at least half of our total wealth, and give Cal and Debbie more." Mona's eyes widened. She looked at me and finally smiled. "But I won't give you anything until you get a divorce," I said. "What the hell is a divorce?" Mona exploded. "Catherine hated me. She never loved me. This is just her way of deceiving me and not giving me my share." "Mona," I said, "you don't have your fair share. This is not the money you worked for. They belong to Kat, and she could do whatever she wanted with them." Mona sat up, grumbling. "Ray, do you know why Mom decided not to leave Mona or Kat anything?" Thomas asked. "Yes, Thomas," I said. "That's why we're here to talk about it. Do you remember when I was dating Kat, and she told you that she would marry me and our marriage would be just like yours?" "Yes, I remember," he said, smiling. It was a happy time for him. "Do you remember how angry Kat was when we told her about this a few years ago?" I asked. "Yes, but I never knew why," he said. "Thomas, your daughter never loved me," I said. "I've never been her type." "Nonsense," cried Kat. "I was the one who wanted to marry you. I never stopped loving you." "No, Kat, you wanted me just like your mother wanted your father. I would be a safe and reliable support for you so that you could lie on the couch and eat candy. In the meantime, you would sleep with everyone you met while I was at work, just like your mother." Mona turned pale and stood up. "It is not true. What are you talking about?" she screamed. "Mona, Kat knew about you from the very beginning," I said. "She had detectives following you for most of your marriage." "Okay, I admit I had a short-term affair," she said. "It didn't mean anything, Thomas. It was just sex. You're always at work. I was lonely." "No, Mona," I said. "The report is very detailed, but Kat says she might have missed a few appointments." I handed Thomas a thick folder. Opening it, he saw a list of dates, places, and times. There were hundreds of photos of Mona with different men of all sizes, ages, and races. There were photographs of Mona with several men at the same time. She looked away and started crying. "I can't handle it," she said. "I have a disease. I'm addicted to sex. I just need help." "But it's just sex," she said. "Thomas, you are the only man I love." "Thomas, no woman loves a man she doesn't respect. Mona doesn't respect you. Look at the date, and especially the time she entertained those 4 black gentlemen at your house. This was last week. They left your house just a few minutes before you came home from work. It's almost as if she's challenging you to catch her. She wasn't at all afraid that you would find out. She has no respect for you," I said. "You are just her ticket to a good life, just like Kat wanted me to be for her." "No," Mona screamed. "I'm not that bad. Things only got worse recently." "Nonsense," I said. "Thomas, how long have you been married?" 32 years, he said. Thomas was shocked. He couldn't take his eyes off the photographs in front of him. Mona tried to take them away because she knew that the longer he looked at them, the more the images would be imprinted in his brain. "Thomas, if this doesn't last long," I said. "How do you explain this?" I handed him another folder. He grabbed it before Mona could intercept it. He looked at several medical forms. "What is this?" he asked. "This is a modern DNA test. The other paper is an old blood test from about 30 years ago," I said. He looked at Mona angrily. "How could you?" he whispered. Mona simply lowered her head. "Sorry, Thomas," I said. "You raised her, sacrificed yourself, and tried to be the best father you could. I hope you continue to help her, but Kat is not your daughter. Mona has been cheating on you since the beginning of your marriage." "But Mona began. "Thomas, according to these notes," I said, "Mona has had at least 3 abortions since Kat was born. According to the magazine, the reason for abortion was so that other children could not easily be passed off as yours." Thomas simply lowered his head. I think more than anything he wanted to just run away, but to his credit, he stayed until the end. I think Kat knew about all this, and that's what she planned for me. That statement she made at that dinner was just a joke between her and her mom. She wanted us to have a marriage like the two of you. Think about it. In college, I was smart and hardworking. I'm pretty good looking, but I'm no Brad Pitt. There is no way a girl like Kat could be attracted to me. I'm sure it was the same with you. Mona must have been very beautiful back then. Why do hot women choose guys like us? This could only be for one of 2 reasons. Either they fell madly in love with us, which I doubt, or she wanted to have something safe in case none of the athletes she slept with became rich and famous. A good guy sucker with a good heart who will always look out for her. I've long suspected that one of the reasons Kat was attracted to me was because she had a situation similar to yours, Thomas. All these years, she didn't say a word about any of this because she wanted you to be happy. She couldn't bear the pain that learning all these facts would cause you. She just thought ignorance was bliss. But Thomas, it's time for you to grow up and accept your responsibility as the head of the family, so she left it to me to make things right. Mona hugged Thomas and began to cry and beg him to believe that she loved only him. Thomas was still looking at the photographs and dates. All this time, Kat was silent. I think she always knew that her mother was cheating on her father and why. I also think she was hoping to model her marriage to me after that. But the knowledge that she was not Thomas's daughter shocked her. He was the only father she knew. Seeing what her mother did from that perspective hurt her deeply. It turned her sense of self upside down. She no longer knew who she really was. I never sought revenge on Kat for cheating on me. I didn't feel the need for it. They say that the best revenge is to live well. Since I broke up with Kat, I have had a much better and richer life than she will ever have. I didn't just move on, I took it to the next level and never looked back. I went from a girl I truly loved to a woman I would love forever. Thomas turned out to be as insightful as his mother. He assured Mona that he did not want a divorce. He did tell her to start looking for a marriage counselor. While she did this and began trying to cook better and dress sexy for him in hopes of saving their marriage, Thomas was preparing for divorce. Thomas sold the house they lived in for $1 and transferred most of the money from their checking and savings accounts to another foreign bank account. He transferred ownership of Mona's car to her and stopped making payments on it. He then took a lump sum payment in lieu of his pension and quit his job. Again, the money went into his offshore account. Thomas decided that he wanted to complete my mission with me. All the travel I was planning to do to fulfill Kat's last wishes would help him cope with his divorce. The day before our flight to Paris, which was the first destination on our list, Mona had a rough day. She was served with a divorce summons, evicted, and her car was repossessed, all in one day. "I thought you didn't want a divorce," Mona screamed over the phone that morning. "I thought about it and decided this would be the best option," Thomas said calmly. "I'll take everything you have," Mona screamed. "Right now, my net worth is 0, Thomas said. "In this state, we have to split everything 50-50ths, so you get half of nothing." I reminded him of her legacy. "Oh yes, Mona," he said. "Since we have to split everything 50-50ths, I'll get half the money my mother left you, so you owe me $1.83. "To hell with you, Thomas. You won't get anything," Mona said as she walked away. That was the last time we saw Mona or Kat. Debbie told us that they were seen in a bad part of town where they wore too much makeup and not enough clothes. She also said they had bruises. I think all cheaters get caught eventually, even if they've managed to avoid it for years. They also end up getting what they deserve. Both love to cheat, and now, apparently, they will do it for money. I hope they can make money from this. Thomas was getting better every day. Traveling, as his mother loved, suited him, but not me. Kat's plan was for me to take her ashes and divide them into 10 vials. I got to take them back to 10 places we particularly enjoyed during our travels. In each place, I had to think of her and the fun we had there, and scatter her ashes so that she could become a part of all those places that we considered special. After 10th place, I had to find someone to fill my heart and the rest of my life. I think she thought I would be like Thomas, getting better every place and every week until I could function normally again. I also think Debbie knew my intentions from the moment I told her that Thomas would need her support. Everyone wondered why she hugged me and cried for so long before we went on our trip. Each place actually became harder for me, and each day was more difficult. By the time we reached our 9th destination, the cruise on which this tragic story began, I could barely complete my tasks. Thomas made me a locket with a tiny piece of cat's ashes in it, and it helped me a lot to know that when this was all over, I would have something left of her other than memories. The last place on my list is the Alicia Cliffs in Europe. There is a legend that if you look from a cliff with a pure heart, you will see your one true love. Kat joked that she saw me while we were there. I laughed and said that she must have seen me because I was standing right next to her, like always. So the legend is true, she declared, laughing. The legend is false, I answered. How could she have a pure heart when she kept rubbing herself against me? I asked Thomas to hold my jacket as we reached the viewpoint near the summit. We climbed up a steep little path leading to the cliffs. Thomas was tired and annoyed, but he agreed. Thomas, this is our last point, I said. Debbie will probably start introducing you to nice young women when you get home, so you need to get in shape. I'm not sure I'm ready to meet anyone, he said. Thomas, one of the main things your mother often told me was to live your life to the fullest every day, I said. Now you are unhappy because you got rid of a woman who never loved you the way you deserve. This leaves you with the opportunity to find someone you love the way I loved your mother. You are younger now than she was when I met her. If you want to be unhappy, at least find a woman with whom you will be unhappy. I walked to the edge, and, to my surprise, this time I had no problem with the ashes spilling. I watched as the fine dust was carried away by the wind, taking with it the last remnants of the bodily shell of my true love. I looked from the cliff for a long time. Dad, we have to go, Thomas said. It's time to go home. Thomas, all the money is yours, I said. Give Debbie at least another $1 million. We'll deal with this when we get home, he said. Thomas, I never intended to come home. I have a note in my jacket pocket, all my credit cards and my ID. Thank you for helping me fulfill your mother's last wish, but I can't be without her anymore, I said as I stepped off the edge of the cliff and into my cat's arms. We are together again and happy as always. She is a little angry with me, but I explained to her that I cannot be without her and remain happy. I would have ended up with her anyway, so I just closed the gap. She reminded me that she wanted me to find someone else. I simply explained to her that I would never be able to find another woman like her. It was often imitated, but never duplicated. She laughed and everything became fine. Now we look after our family, but mostly we just talk like we always do. We are now the same age as when we met, and we will never be apart again. Even in death, life, and especially love continues. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think click to the next one.